200 sales every AEP versus an agent that writes 100, but that agent has the one that's doing 200 has 50% retention. The other one has 90. You're going to put yourself in a better situation 5 years from now. My goal is to have you not say, oh, you got to sign up with Humana. It's, hey, you got to sign up with Humana. And by the way, if you don't call my agent, you'll regret it. Like that's the kind of energy that I want them to bring when they give my name. Everybody, welcome back to Medicare Agent IQ. I'm Raul Gonzalez.
And I'm Oscar Ibieta.
You know, today we wanted to talk a little bit about something I feel like is probably the most important part of our business. And it's the reason that we're all in this business, but sometimes we lose sight of that fact. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's the reason I got into this business.
Renewals.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. And so when we talk about renewals, we're talking about the dollar amount that we get every single month per member per month. But it's deeper than that. It's the relationship that you keep with the clients that you have enrolled. And our business is unique in that, you know, like for PNC insurance agents, they stay in contact with their clients because they call them all the time, right? Like they're, you know, you get a new car, you call and things like that. Theoretically, and this is what you see with call centers, right? Theoretically, you could enroll someone in a Medicare Advantage plan or a Medicare supplement and then never talk to them again. Yeah. And you're done talking to them. They're just the person that enrolled you into the plan. What kind of loyalty do you have by doing that, right? There's none. There's no loyalty by just enrolling someone. Anyone can do that. AI could do that. But what they can't do is to build a real relationship. And I got to tell you that I was doing a little bit of research and I found that there was a couple of studies. One of them said that it cost 7 to 9 times more to acquire a new client than to keep an existing one. Jeez. Especially in our business, right? Like, and here's the crazy part is that our business is actually a pretty easy business to do the service. We don't have to actually add that vehicle. We don't have to do all of those things.
Collect payments.
Right. All we have to do is be there to answer the phone, but then also have to reach out to them with quick and easy things, right? Just checking in. Just want you to know that I'm still here for you. I know you don't have a whole lot of questions, but I want you to know that I will be there if you ever need anything. Just something simple like that, right? But a lot of agents aren't making that phone call. Another thing said that a 5% increase in client retention can boost profits by 25%. And that was through Harvard Business Review. This is real data that they're seeing that basically taking care of your current clients increases how much money that your company can earn. So we always want to talk about this distinction that agents need to make. You are a business owner. Your book of business is your business, and keeping that perspective, think like a business owner. We've talked about it several times before. Think about this. If you retain 10 more clients per year at $347 average, each year that's $3,470 in revenue that you're adding, right?
That you kept or an increase, right? You look at it as an increase in
a
sense,
right?
Or could be.
It's business you didn't lose, right? And then over 5 years, what does that come out to? About $17,000?
$17,350. I did that in my head just now.
In your head? Nice. So I can't do math in my head, by the way. So that's a great job. So, but that's people who already know you, people who already trust you. You've already built that trust. I have, I've known, and I never want to call this agent out and make them feel called out. But there's an agent that we've had for 12 years, and one of our top producing agents, always on the leaderboard for the open enrollment for AEP, for multiple carriers at the same time, maybe top 1 to 3. And this individual, they have a smaller book of business than they should. And I talked to them and I was like, well, why is that? Why is this a situation where, your book of business seems to have gotten smaller? They were like, yeah, to be honest, I hadn't been returning calls. I would turn off my phone for 3 months and I would just kind of let them go. And so I would go out there and do the business. But when the customer service came up, I just wasn't up for doing it. And this person has a lot of other reasons. And I understand being busy and I understand that, but I got to tell you, if it were me, I would work a lot less hard during AEP and just keep the people that I have, right? And so I may not be on that leaderboard, but I've got this really, really big book of business. It's kind of the way that it was when I was at Humana. I used to work there, as many people who listen to the show know. I worked there for 6 years. When I left, I had about 1,200 clients. And there were people there that produced significantly more than me. And during that time, produced during open enrollment or during different times significantly more than me. But when I left, I had a larger book of business, probably by 400 clients than them. And the reason is that I did a great job of staying in contact and kind of setting expectations for those clients. I want to be that first call that you make. And I would always tell them, I want to be the person that you call whenever you have an issue. Please don't call customer service before you call me. And kind of in the same way, if you see an advertisement from an 800 number and you're curious about another plan, I want you to know that you can call me. And now that I'm not at Humana, you can call me and I can enroll you in really most of the plans that you're seeing advertised. There might be reasons that we didn't enroll you in that in the first place, but I want to be the first person that you call when that situation comes up. It's like, take care of your current clients. It's going to put you in a much better situation.
Yeah, and I love that, right? I think sometimes we get, caught up in those numbers, right? The AEP numbers, the production numbers. But I think the beauty in all of this is, or what carries more value, and I think a lot of times it's kind of overlooked, is the retention in all of this, right? As an agent, if you have a high retention rate, just like what you shared when you were at Humana, right? You obviously had a higher retention rate and it had a larger book of business. So, look at that book of business and the example that you just gave here, right? If you can retain 10 clients, let's add a 0 to that. Right? If you can retain 100 clients, let's say you're doing 10 apps a month, you're averaging 10 apps a month over the course of a year, that's 120 applications for the year. That's a very attainable goal. That is not a stretch goal by any means. And so if you can keep 90% of that, if your retention is at 90%, you're keeping right around 100 clients, a little more, but let's use simple numbers, 100 clients, and you can retain that is a $34,000 increase that you're going to see from one year to the next. And the crazy part is, like, that is very attainable. That is a very real number that we see with a lot of our agents. And if there can just be an emphasis on retaining your book of business, and how do we do that, right? That's what we're going to dive into here today is how can we have, how can we work to have a higher retention rate with our book of business, with our business? Right.
It's like one of these things, right, where if you have an agent that writes 200 sales every AEP, versus an agent that writes 100, but that agent has the one that's doing 200 has 50% retention. Yep. The other one has 90. You're going to put yourself in a better situation 5 years from now than the person that's just letting stuff go out the back door. There's in this business, there's every incentive to take care of who you have and just take care of every one of those clients, return their call. That's the easy part. The hard part we're going to talk about today is staying in contact with them, coming up with the strategy, whatever that looks like. That strategy might be different for you than it is for me, but whatever it is, come up with a strategy and make it part of your business plan, staying in contact with those clients. So this is how, one thing that we think is you've got to have, as soon as you enroll someone, a 30, 60, and 90-day follow-up where you're calling them 30 days after you enrolled them, just you're checking in. Hey, I'm just wanting to see how everything's going. I know that's a new plan. I want to make sure that I answer any questions for you. Oh, you know what? To be honest, I don't have any questions. I haven't even really, started with the plan, anything like that. Okay, here's what I want to remind you of. And I told you this at the time of our appointment. I want to be the first person that you call. The day that you do have a question, please give me a call. I will be there. I will, if I miss your call, I want to return it. I want to be the person that you say, hey, not only did this person sell me the insurance, but this is my personal customer service agent. May not be able to do everything. And that's why we've got to be open and realistic with the person when we do that, right? I can't look at their claims history. I can't figure that out.
Even,
but I can be on the other line and maybe give them the right number to call. And this is what I tell them, I want to be that first call. At least I'm going to save you from calling 3 different wrong numbers. That's what I want to do. I want to be that first person that you call. So you say that again after the first touch. And what I always throw in, so this is not about how to get referrals, but I always throw that in at the end of there. And in just kind of as we go through and as I mentioned, I want to be that first call. I really believe, Mr. Ibieta, I really believe that I deliver a higher level of customer service than my competitors out there. But like I said, I want to be that first call. And I just want you to know that if you ever have a friend or someone else that you know with Medicare, that maybe they're complaining about their insurance or something like that, have them give me a call because I'll be there for them just like I'm there for you. Okay. And so that's kind of how I would set that. And then that first call. And then do the same thing at 60 days. Like, hey, I'm just checking in. Have you had an opportunity to go see a doctor yet? Have you had an opportunity to go see a dentist yet? And so when you get to that situation, it's going to be very much the same call, but it's just a check-in. And you can even let them know, Mr. Ibieta, I want you to know that don't worry. I'm not going to call you every month for the next 12 months. I'm not going to, for the rest of your life, call you every month. But during the first 3 months, I like to check in on my customers. I want to make sure that everything is going smoothly for you. Because what I find is people typically, when they start having a little bit of friction, when they first start, it might say, oh no, maybe I made a mistake.
Right.
I want to let you know that if you ever feel that way, I'm going to be on top of it and make sure that it doesn't feel like a mistake. But even more, if you say, you know what, Raul, it was a mistake. I really wish I could go back to United or to Humana or whatever it was before. Guess what? I can be the one to do that for you. So I'm going to be checking in on you for these first 3 months and then just a couple of times a year after that. Okay.
Right. And with that, right, like you mentioned, right, everybody might do these things a different way. So here's how I might do that, right? So what I do is when I enroll somebody, I say, look, I want you to call me as soon as you get your card, just so that I know that you got it. And it's just another reason for me another opportunity for me to interact with my client. But then maybe at that 60-day check-in, right? Hey, just wanted to check in, see how everything's going, just like you talked about, Raul. But I might add a couple of other things. I might say, remind them of all the reasons why we selected this plan. Hey, remember, your plan has got that you're saving money on your specialist copay, and remember, this plan has more dental than the plan that you had before. So make sure you set that dental appointment. Don't forget, you've got a food benefit where you can go and buy food at the grocery store. So make sure that you're using all of those benefits and just kind of reminding them of why we selected that plan for them. But I also use it as an opportunity to remind them that I'm a broker, right? So if at any point you ever feel like you are just unhappy or you feel like you made a mistake, let me remind you that I work with many different insurance companies. So if you ever decide that you want to change doctors or change insurances, you don't have to respond to those commercials that you see on TV. You don't have to take the calls that you're getting. You don't have to stop and talk to somebody at a Walmart. Just give me a call. And I'm happy to sit down with you and look at what other options you might be considering or you might be interested in looking at. So it's just a retention piece that I'll use when I do speak to them and just remind them of the reasons we selected the plan and remind them that I'm a broker, because I've seen it before, right? I didn't know that you also represented this other plan, or I didn't know you did that, even though we told them, right? They just, it's not like they remember every single thing that we cover in those appointments. So it's just a good opportunity for you as an agent to remind them that you're contracted with multiple carriers. Yeah,
and I think that's why you got to check in. That's why you have to just like you said. I mean, I told you when we first enrolled you, I represent several companies. So one of the other things that from this point, after that 30, 60, 90-day phone call, one of the things that I like to do is within our CRM within the automation, maybe set up where it's going to automatically, everyone you enrolled at the 6-month mark, where you're sending them a text. Now, remember, you've already gotten permission to send them text messages. You've gotten permission to have automation continue to follow up with them. But really what it is like, hey, just checking in on you. I just want you to know that I am here again. And you send this via text message, maybe with a picture of yourself, just explaining, I'm still here for you. Don't hesitate. And I just want to remember, say it again, I would love to be that first call that you make if you're having any issues. And so you do that, and then maybe, in September, a pre-AEP heads up. Just want you to know that I'll be contacting you if I think you need to change your plan. If you think you need to change your plan this open enrollment, if you've had any issues, or if you see, and this is via text, if you see any advertisements that pique your interest, I want to be that first call for you, and I'll help you. And I'll help you possibly with that plan. So we'll look at it together.
That right there, right in September, right before AEP, you're just touching your book of business right before that busy time, right before they start getting flooded with all the mail and all the commercials, and the 100 phone calls that they get every day turns into 300 phone calls that they're getting every day. So just that taking the time to just connect with them right before we get into AEP, you have no idea how valuable, how much weight that carries as you roll into AEP. And agents can just get to a point where they're like, I'm just so busy, or I've got all this, or I'm prepping for this, or, there's all this disruption in the market, so I'm just so tied up doing all of these things. Again, how did we open up this episode? We're talked about how important retention is, and how much of a key part that this plays in your business as an agent. So taking the time to do this, I feel like, if anything, that you want to do all the touch points, but connecting with them before AEP is critical, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I will say that if you do run into somebody who is, or if you're looking at the plans and you can see them, right? There's certain plans that put your clients at high risk. Right. So like this year we saw it, this last AEP, we saw a lot of disruption, right? Where the all of a sudden this plan has a super high deductible for this, or the copays to go to the hospital are significantly higher. I would say that you want to handle those a little bit more hands-on, and because you want to make sure you don't lose them. But at the same time, you don't want a lot of movement. Right. And a lot of times you want to let people know, like, just to be honest, like, a lot of these plans change on a yearly basis. They're all pretty close, but you make that phone call and you're proactive about it. Like, hey, look, I noticed that your copays went up. We can talk more about it. I will tell you that a lot of these plans have similar copays. It's not like your plan is now just the worst one out there and there's more. Is that something that you've wanted to review? Did you look at that? Did you receive the annual notice of change, and were you wanting to change? Did you see anything on TV, and just kind of putting that out there? Because, the movement on an annual basis isn't good for anyone. And that's one of the things that CMS tends to call out, is they feel like agents are churning and just moving people from one plan to another. That's not what I'm trying to do. And that's not the conversation I'm having with them, right? Like, it's just, I'm checking in on you. I just would like to make sure that there's maybe not a change that you wanted to make to your insurance. And I just wanted to get in front of it and make sure you don't call one of those 800 numbers or something like that.
And side note to all of this, you got me thinking, right? You brought up this point. This is where you, as an agent and being a business owner, how does the preparation for all of this, what does it look like, right? And we all know that it's in the summertime that we really start getting sneak peeks, a little, nuggets of information on what the plans are looking like. So if there are certain markets that you focus on, it's important that you attend, the carrier rollouts, whether they're in person or whether they're doing them online. You don't want to be so busy or just feel like, I don't need to go to that thing. It's important that you do that, because if you're staying up to date with everything that's happening in the market and you have a pretty good idea as to what's coming for this upcoming AEP, you can start to really put together a real strategy as to how you're going to target, how you're going to reach out to the folks that you're working with that you know are going to be impacted, or on the other hand, the folks that are not going to be significantly impacted. So that way, when they give you a call and they want to know, hey, how's it looking for next year? Do I need to make any changes? You already know the answer, right? Hey, look, your plan is staying great. There's a couple of changes here and there. Did you get your notice of changes? I don't think that we need to look at any other options. It's going to renew automatically. It's going to roll right into the new year. So it just makes you more effective, more efficient, and it makes it easier for you to have those conversations. But where does that start? It doesn't start in September. It doesn't start in October. That starts in July and August, and all the rollouts and everything that's happening. So I encourage you to attend those, again, whether they're online or whether they're in person. Get there, even if it feels like it's a waste of time. There's going to be some valuable information. I promise you will walk out of there with at least one or two pieces of information that are valuable and that are going to have an impact on what your strategy looks like moving into AEP.
Yeah, and sometimes I hear from agents, and we deal with a lot of agents that are out in the community and with the best heart and the best intentions start setting up an annual review with every one of their clients, and they set the stage for that at a very early age in their career in Medicare. And so you'll see them, they'll schedule appointments and they're like, yeah, no, I meet with all of my clients, and I tell my clients I meet with all of them. Well, that's fine and good when you have 50.
Right.
It's fine when you have 100. It's hard, but you can, it's manageable. You can make that happen. But when you start getting, and if your goal is to get to 500 to 1,000 clients, you've set the stage to make it a really difficult AEP for yourself. And so what I would always tell clients is that we will meet if you need to. Right. And what that means is that for most of this is an easy thing. We don't have to get together to find out if your plan, if there's major changes, I'm going to be calling you. But if you want to just check in, if we want to check in during AEP, during the open enrollment, I'm going to talk to you. We're going to have a quick 10-minute conversation. I'm going to find out how your wife is doing. We're going to check in with each other, and then I will talk to you in January and check in again and just see how things are going. Because I do recommend, so the difference is I don't recommend like getting together and setting up an hour-long appointment. Don't do that to yourself. But what I do recommend is staying in contact with them throughout the year, so that way you don't have to have that. You don't have to worry, I'm going to lose my clients if I don't do that. Yeah. So how do you do that? I think one of the things, if you don't already do it, is send out an annual birthday card to your clients. Make sure that you get an annual birthday card. Go a step further, set up a text message to automatically text message them on their birthday. Go a step even further and make a quick call. Hey, I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday. Believe it or not, sometimes as seniors get older, you might be the only phone call that they get. Maybe they never had kids. Maybe their kids passed away. Maybe they're estranged. Whatever the situation is, make a phone call if you have the time. That's going the extra mile. Like, I mean, if you're too busy for that, I understand, but it could really help. It takes 2 minutes to make a phone call. Yeah. Anniversary of enrollment text. Hey, it's been a year since we set you up. Just wanted to check in, make sure that everything is going well. Give me a call if you need me. And it's just these quick touches. Quarterly, just checking in, message, SMS, holiday card. I would say that for most people, just something, something quick and easy, just a holiday, either postcard or even an SMS message or an email. And then if you're ever out in the community doing an event and there, you have clients that are in an area, invite them out there. It's an opportunity to see each other. Yeah. So we have some agents that go to the next level and have retention events in person. I will tell you that a lot of the carriers' budgets are getting smaller and smaller, and even the provider groups, it's harder for them to chip in on that, but it might be something that you could do. Maybe you do it at grand scale. You bring a lot of people, but low cost, figure out a way to do it at low cost. And then one thing that we recommend is use your CRM to stay in contact with people. Nowadays, most CRMs probably will have some automation that you can send automatic text messages and or even reminders to yourself that I should give this person a call on this day. Gosh, back when I used to work at Humana, we had this very basic, it looked like an old school, in a really, really old school system. And it looks like it was built in DOS. I'm probably aging myself. I don't know if most people under 40 know what DOS is, but it's like, it was really old. Yeah, it's like old style. But even that back then had this way. It was called like I think they were called come-ups or something, where it would remind you that you had to do this on such and such day. So at the very least, if that's what you have, there should be some reminders in there so you can send a text message, or if you have something more advanced where it's going to automatically text those people for you and stay in contact. I think that's the easiest way to do it. Put some important pieces of information. Here's a big one: is just like what's the spouse's date of birth? Like, what if the spouse is 3 years younger? I would hate, and be honest, it's happened before where I have not been the agent that the spouse enrolled with. It's so frustrating, right? You're like, man, that should be easy.
Easy. Like, it's a layup. It's a slam dunk, right?
It should. But if you use your CRM in a way that will help you with that kind of thing. But also just make little notes. When you meet with someone, we've talked about like how you do a warm up and you get to know your clients. Like do some notes. Like, has a grandson named Billy that lives with them, he plays soccer and that's what they spend all their time doing. Hey, how's Billy's soccer going? Oh, he quit. Oh, what? And it's like, man, that afterwards, what your client is thinking is, that person really cares about me. Right. Do you think that I'm going to leave someone who cares to remember my grandson Billy's name and that he plays soccer? No, I'm probably not going to leave them. That person we have a real relationship. And that's what this whole thing is about, is you really are building relationships. And it's this idea that if I have a real relationship with you, you're not going anywhere. We're more than just a person that enrolled you into an insurance. Right. I'm your friend. I'm an acquaintance.
Right. But you're building relationships with your clients, right? And it's not, it's getting away from being transactional. It's no longer just a transaction. It's meaningful. And you've got to mean it though, right? Yeah. Like you have to mean it. And you're right. That carries, it's such a valuable thing, right? We're meeting with people and I've been in those situations, right? And I'll make notes. I take notes. I make notes about, little one-off things like that. And, they'll call me and I'd say that the majority of the time I really do remember a lot of their situation, but sometimes I don't. And that's why our notes are there. And it's refreshing and it's nice when they make a phone call and they say, hey, Oscar, I know, you helped me sign up. I don't know if you remember, but my wife, oh yeah, she's turning 65 in October. Yep. She's, I've got her on my list right now. She's got insurance through her plan. She's paying this much. He's like, oh my gosh, like you remember that? I was like, yeah, absolutely. I do. And again, sometimes I actually don't, but I have it noted. Many times I do actually remember it. But again, it creates that loyalty. It's like, wow, this person actually cares about my situation. They remember, they're invested in this, and they're really going to be helping me. And I trust that they're going to give me the right advice, help me make the right decision about my healthcare, my family's healthcare, my friends, everybody. They start to, pass your information around to everybody else. They really do,
right? Like, it's like, man, you gotta call my guy. Like he remembers stuff about me, and it's great. So last thing real quick is just like, what happens if you don't do these things? What happens if you don't? So at the very least, you might keep 70% of your business, on an annual basis, maybe 80. Like, a lot of people don't move. To be honest, I don't sell insurance as much these days. And if I do enroll someone, I don't always get a chance to call back. Just I've got a lot of other things going. You still have a good amount of people that stick to it. But man, if I could do 90%, persistency instead of 70,
Right. What does that look like?
It's
right?
huge, right? Especially when you deal with these larger numbers, when you have agents that sell 250 plans a year. And, that was one of the things, like I've talked to agents that do sell 200 plans a year, 250, and you look at their book of business and it's like, well, after 10 years,
where are they at?
Yeah. How many, at 90%, what should you be at? And then you actually look at it, you're like, why would you be at 1,200? Like that is way too low if you make that many sales a year. Right. And so those are conversations you have to have with yourself. And it's harder to think about it, but really, what's the difference financially between 2,500 clients and 1,200?
Right.
It's huge. Now, gosh, if you do a good job, 2,500 clients or even 1,200 is a lot to do by yourself. But gosh, if you get that big, you can hire employees.
Somebody to help you with that. Yeah.
To stay on top of these things so you can continue to grow. So that's something that happens. Another thing is that maybe maybe your client gets a mailer from another agent during AEP and you didn't stay in contact with them. They don't remember you or know you from Adam, and they have no loyalty. Right. They'll just go to the next agent that calls them or the next agent that they run into at the supermarket, which happens a lot, right? A lot of people, there's a lot of agents. There's a lot of Walmarts in this country and a lot of agents sitting in those Walmarts, right?
Yeah, I think, we see, I think what we've seen in the past is, I think data has shown like 90% of the population usually just kind of stays on their plan and they usually don't make any changes. That means only 10% are actually, shopping around. But we all know that that is no longer the case for the last couple of years. And I don't think that that's going to be changing, at least not for this coming year or really in the near future. And so where we've traditionally seen only 10% of the population, going into shopping mode during AEP, I feel like that number has tripled or quadrupled. And so you've got even more people now during these times shopping around. You've got to make it a point to make sure that when they go into shopping mode, that they're picking up the phone and they're calling you. So in all my time in this industry, I feel like now more than ever, having these ongoing relationships with your clients and staying in front of them and really having a real emphasis on retention is so much more valuable now than it ever has been. Yeah,
I can tell you that there's a major carrier that I could tell that they're based off of their meetings with their shareholders that they're not looking to grow. That they maybe grew too much, too fast, and we might have to see some movement this AEP the way that we've been seeing, and so you want to be that first call that they make, and you don't want them to just run into another agent or worse. What we've seen too is like people calling the carrier and making changes themselves, and then maybe possibly a lot of them say that they protect that business, but there's always things that could happen where, and we're dealing with experiences like that right now, where maybe they didn't that person terms, so then they don't have to protect that business.
Right.
Be that first call. You're never going to regret it. Sometimes it's annoying to be that first call, but try to do it. So, but another thing that can happen if you don't do it is that client's neighbor says, "Hey, who's your insurance agent? I'd love to connect with them." They're like, man, I don't remember, but I really like United, and that's my insurance. Go ahead and give them a call.
Yeah.
And then like that's the worst, man. Like if I'm not doing a good enough job, like that, my goal is to have you not say, "Oh, you got to sign up with Humana." It's, "Hey, you got to sign up with Humana, and by the way, if you don't call my agent, you'll regret it." Like that's the kind of energy that I want them to bring when they give my name.
Right.
But that only happens if we're doing all of these things, if we're staying in touch with them in several different ways, and we're setting expectations to be that first call. So another thing that happens is that really that you're spending all this money on leads, you're spending all this money on different ways to generate new business, and watching stuff go out the back door. It makes zero sense. And then, it's just bottom line is that this is a relationship business. And so you don't want to have this be just a transaction. You go and enroll someone and then they never hear from you again. That's the worst. Be there for them, answer their questions, and watch the amount of referrals you get because of it. So that is all that we have for today. Our goal, again, we say this every time, our goal is to be a resource for agents to help them to be more successful and hopefully help get agents to the next level. We saw that there's a need. There's not enough agencies that are training their agents. And so we just really want to be that resource for agents. And so do us a favor. If you would like to ask a question, feel free to get into our DMs and send us a message. Let us know what it is that you would like us to cover. And if you have a specific question, maybe we'll get you on the podcast. Maybe we could do a live call or something like that. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're on all the different social medias and we do respond. So until next time, take care of those clients.